may contain triggering content. Viewer discretion is advised. Mount Everest, the roof of the world. At 8,849 meters above sea level, it's the highest point on Earth. For many people, it's the symbol of glory, achievement, and dreams coming true. But for some, it quickly turns into a cold and unforgiving tomb, a grave at the top of the world. Here are the true stories of 3 courageous women who dared to conquer the mighty Everest, and then they never came back. Our first story is that of Chantal Mauduit, a fearless French climber who became a legend in her own right by summiting several of the world's highest peaks without bottled oxygen. Among them, the notoriously difficult K2 and Cho Oyu, but her name would be forever linked to the mountain she loved and loathed, Mount Everest. Chantal had summited Everest twice before, once in 1990 without supplemental oxygen, and then again in 1996 with a commercial team. Despite her previous successes, the mountain had taken its toll on her, and she didn't want to go back. In fact, she told her friends, "I am through with Everest." But her desire to conquer the mountain soon overshadowed her apprehension. Chantal was a force to be reckoned with. Not only was she a talented and experienced mountaineer, but she also had a reputation for being a bit of a mystery. People knew her as a loner who preferred to climb solo and disappeared for days or even weeks at a time. This added to the intrigue surrounding her and led some of her fellow climbers to whisper rumors about her. They started calling her the Black Widow of the mountains, because she seemed to disappear after every successful climb. There was even speculation that she might have been poisoning her partners, which would explain why so many of them suddenly died. Even though these claims were never proven to be true, they only added to the legend of Chantal and made her seem even more elusive and dangerous. In May 1998, Chantal was part of an expedition on Dolajuri, just 2 weeks before Everest. During the ascent, she began feeling unwell and struggled to carry on. On May 12th, her Sherpa found her lifeless body in a tent with no sign of injury or foul play. The cause of her death remains unknown, leading to more speculation and rumors. Some believe that she succumbed to altitude sickness or exhaustion, while others still whisper that she was poisoned. Regardless of what really happened to her, Chantal's untimely death at the age of 45 shocked the mountaineering world. She may have been a controversial figure, but her skills and accomplishments were undeniable, and she will forever be remembered as one of the most enigmatic and accomplished mountaineers of her generation. Now let's turn our attention to the harrowing tale of Francys Arsentiev, an American climber who set out to become the first U.S. woman to conquer Everest without the aid of supplementary oxygen. It was May 1998 when Francys, along with her husband Sergei, a seasoned Russian climber, reached the summit of the world's highest peak. But their triumph was short-lived. As they began their descent, Francys became weak and disoriented, struggling to put one foot in front of the other. By the time they reached the south summit, 8 hours into their descent, she could go no further. Realizing that she posed a danger to herself and others, he decided to descend alone in the hopes of getting help. Meanwhile, Francys huddled in the snow, fighting for survival against the freezing temperatures and thin air. When the rescue team finally arrived, they found her alive but unable to move. Aware that his wife wouldn't make it, Sergei stayed with her for a heartbreaking 15 minutes, sharing their last moments together before descending again to seek further assistance. Tragically, when the rescue team returned, Francys had died. Despite the efforts of the climbers who tried to reach her, the death zone above 8,000 meters is unforgiving, and every minute spent in such a perilous environment puts lives at risk. The decision to stay or go often comes down to a matter of seconds. Francys's body was left where it lay, and for 5 years it remained visible to climbers passing by. It was a haunting sight, the Sleeping Beauty as she came to be known, forever frozen in a purple climbing suit. However, it is important to note that leaving a deceased climber on the mountain is not done out of callousness, but because the risk of bringing the body down is just as great as the risk taken by the climber attempting the ascent. The freezing cold and unpredictable weather conditions can also make retrieving the body extremely difficult. After 5 years, high winds and avalanches finally swept her body off the slope, but for those who saw her, the image of the Sleeping Beauty remained forever burned into their memories. While Francys's body may have been lost to the mountain, her story continues to serve as a warning to all those who dare to challenge its unforgiving heights. And now we come to the tragic tale of Hannelore Schmatz, a German mountaineer who became the first woman to die on the upper slopes of Mount Everest. It was 19, and Hannelore was part of a 9-member West German expedition aiming to scale Everest via the northeast ridge. After weeks of preparation, the team began their final assault on the summit. On May 8th, Hannelore and her companions reached the top of the world. But as the saying goes, Everest doesn't show mercy. On their way down, Hannelore and her partner, American Ray Jeniton, became exhausted and unable to continue. They decided to set up camp at 8,200 meters above sea level in a treacherous death zone. Despite the dangers, the next morning Hannelore woke up and found that Ray had died during the night. Unable to carry his body with her, she left it where it lay, a grim reminder of the mountain's unforgiving nature. But her ordeal was far from over. Despite being physically exhausted, Hannelore continued her descent, However, she soon realized that she was in grave danger. With each step, her body grew weaker and weaker until she couldn't move any further. She sat down on a rock and never got up again. 4 days, she managed to keep herself alive, subsisting on snow and water, but her body was slowly freezing. Eventually, she closed her eyes for the last time, forever embracing the icy slopes of Everest. When her body was discovered by a later expedition, it was still upright, leaning against her backpack, her eyes wide open, hair blowing in the wind. The sight of the ghost of Everest, as she came to be known, was so haunting that climbers who saw her reported it to the authorities. After much debate, the decision was made to leave her body where it lay. Attempting to retrieve it would have been too dangerous and risked the lives of the rescuers. Thus, the ghost of Everest continued to stare out over the world, forever frozen in time. But Hannelore's story has a final twist. Despite her body being lost to the mountain, her spirit seems to have found peace. Over the years, high winds and avalanches gradually eroded the iciest slopes, eventually sweeping her body off the mountainside. To this day, nobody knows exactly where her remains ended up. Perhaps they were carried away by the glaciers forever, or maybe they rest in some secluded crevice, far from the bustling trails. One thing is certain, though, she is no longer frozen in time, and perhaps that is the greatest mercy Everest could offer her. Over the years, numerous attempts have been made to recover the bodies of these brave souls. However, the harsh weather conditions and treacherous terrain have made it nearly impossible to retrieve their remains. This has left many families searching for answers, wondering if they will ever be able to bring their loved ones home. Meanwhile, the mountains stand as silent witnesses to these tragedies, their icy peaks serving as final resting places for those who dared to dream of conquering the world's greatest heights. That concludes our chilling journey into the tales of 3 women who met tragic ends on Mount Everest. Each of their stories is a testament to the unforgiving nature of the mountain and the indomitable spirit of adventure that drives humans to explore the unknown. If you found this story powerful and haunting, please don't hesitate to hit the like button and subscribe for more captivating content. Thank you for watching, and remember to stay tuned for more incredible stories.